in.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. So, if you just want to get us started, what got you into football?
So when I was younger, I had an older brother. Um, we're about 9 years apart. So by the time I was actually playing Pee Wee, he was like freshman year of high school, and he actually really motivated me to start playing football. And start weight training pretty young. So
I noticed on your Max Preps, it has you marked as both running back and linebacker. Are you interested in going both ways for college, or are you want to
um,
stick to running back?
so I mean, when you get to campus, a lot of things can change. But as of right now, all the coaches that I've talked to, they're mostly only interested in the running back aspect.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We talked about it yesterday. You said you had a visit from South Carolina. How did that, or South Florida rather? How did that go?
It went great. So a lot of the colleges are back on the road. A lot of people came down to see me. So I think the full list, and the week's not over yet, so it could be some more pack in there. But so far, it's been Vanderbilt, um, University of South Florida, Duke, Virginia, and South Carolina just came down to visit today. So
Dang,
yes,
sounds like
sir.
you have a very busy week.
Yeah, it was really busy. I'm not used to. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not used to being this busy, but every hour is packed. So I ended up scheduling this for, I believe I have a Zoom call with Brian. It's an FCS Division 1,
Oh, really?
but yeah.
What would you have to say was your favorite visit so far?
Um, that's a tough one. It's really split between two. University of South Florida and Yale. I feel like both of them they had a real home atmosphere. And I actually do plan on being back to both USF June 6th through 8th and then Yale June 12th through 15th. So,
Interesting. I know, like, for a lot of people, you have offers from Yale, Harvard, Dartmouth, like prestigious schools. A lot of people see it as why not get like the best of both worlds? You can go to an Ivy League school like that and continue to play football. Um, have any of the Ivies like stuck around like this deep into your recruiting? Like you still have interest in them with all the other
oh,
offers?
of course, logos don't really mean much. I mean, of course, it's always nice to play FBS ball, but education is really important too in life after college. So I actually have been in frequent contact with Yale, Harvard, and Dartmouth. They have reached out, but not so frequent. But yeah, so Yale keeps in contact, and then like you said, with the best of both worlds, there are other schools interested that are like very well on the academic side, like Boston College, Duke, UNC, Virginia. So it just all boils down to, you know, who decides to offer and how I feel about the atmosphere there.
Yeah. What are you interested in studying for college?
So as of right now, I want to do poli sci, which is political science, and econ.
Really? What got
Yeah.
you into that?
So I actually plan on going to law school after college, and things can change, but that is a plan as of right now. So, I heard from a lot of people down when I actually took an unofficial visit to Yale, and when I went down there, I heard that a lot of their students actually do poli sci and econ to set them up for law school.
So obviously, 71st was a very run heavy team last year. You guys had 3,000 yard rushers. Um,
So,
what would you say is like the biggest part of keeping that consistency? You guys had 5,200 rushing yards last year. You graduate your top two rushers. Uh, what would you say is the biggest part of getting that back to staying that consistent?
I mean, honestly, I feel like in this upcoming year, I got a lot to prove, but I believe that it's going to be an amazing year. I love 9-11 to death. Um, no, those two of my guys, but as they graduate and they pass on the torch, I believe that I really have a chance to do something special here and possibly go for 2,500 yards. But you know, like a lot of people say, like a lot of colleges do say, too many carries can kill your body. So having another good running back to split the carries with is also going to help. Kind of continue the trend of very high rushing yards.
Yeah. So obviously, during your time at 71st, one of the things that's kind of eluded 71st has been that state championship. You guys have done amazing these last couple of years, but just can't get it done there at the end. What do you think's one of the keys to making that happen this year?
Honestly, so my sophomore year, the first time we went, I believe that Hickory was just a dominant team. Um,
Yeah,
they were physical. They wanted it. That was a tough team to beat. We just couldn't put it away. Although we did have some injuries. In number seven, Amir Drumming, he broke his wrist in the playoffs. He was one of our go-to wide receivers and defensive backs. But other than that, we were more than healthy. So they were a really tough team to put away, and we couldn't do it. But as of last year, my junior year, I really just believe injuries was the only reason we did not win that game. Um, our quarterback suffered a knee injury. He's fine now. He played basketball. He's
yeah,
in good health now. And our linebacker, same situation. He's actually back in the weight room, even stronger than he was before. But he also broke his arm.
yeah.
Well, no, I believe it was his hand, but he had a club on over the entire arm. So those were our two star players, and also the other two players that rushed for over 1,000 yards, and they're out of the equation now. So you put it all on one person, and they load the box. There's not too much you can do.
That was like another thing. Obviously, with how run heavy your guys' team was, it's kind of surprising. Like with how good your offensive line is, like that more teams didn't come. Like even if they committed to the run, you guys still dominated them
Yes,
the entire time. Um, you rushed for over 10 yards a carry last season,
yes,
which
sir.
is insane. Um, you have a dual threat quarterback. You had like Nance was 1,500 pass yards, 1,500 rush yards. I can only imagine you guys in a triple option. That sounds absolutely just no way to stop that.
Yes, sir. So we did have somewhat of a triple option. We hardly ran. It was mostly a short down situation, triple, but we did have one. It was pretty hard to stop because don't want to give away too much of the playbook, but let's just say you weren't gonna stop all three.
Yeah.
We never got around to running it so much because I mean, eventually, just like every other play, you run it too much, people can scheme against it. So we only really used it when we needed to.
Yeah. So it seems like a bunch of your players on the team, they do both sides of the ball. You have you who did running back and linebacker. Another one of the running back, Frederick, did fullback and mid linebacker. Do you think that has something to do with uh, consistency and being able to stay healthy later on in the season?
I absolutely do believe that. That's one of the main things that it's kind of off-putting. As much as a team player as um, I am aware that I do have a very promising future after high school football. So playing both sides, that's why for the most part I do play both sides, but you haven't really seen me start too much because keeping that body healthy is really important. I feel like playing both sides, that's something that really takes a toll on the body.
So obviously, one of your bigger visits, you went to a South Carolina football game earlier this year. Sold out atmosphere.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Um, Electric, man. That atmosphere was amazing. Not many in college football that I've been to, at least, and I've been to, UNC, NC State, um, a lot of games, a lot of good FBS Power Four games. None match it. I believe in particular the Texas A&M game when they upset Texas A&M. That game was insane. So,
What would you say is your favorite stadium that you visited?
ooh, favorite stadium. I had to reach into the back for this one. Honestly, stadium alone, I would have to say South Carolina. It's huge. It's not old. At least it doesn't appear old. And it's just at nighttime the lights are amazing. Like they're just bright and vibrant. But when it comes to the whole atmosphere, like surrounding and everything, I have to say Ole Miss. It has I believe the stadium is really walking distance from the facility. So it's just amazing, like basically compound.
Yeah. I had seen in one of your other interviews that you did, you said Ole Miss was a dream offer for you. Did you grow up an Ole Miss fan?
Um, Honestly, yes and no. As I grew up, I wasn't crazy into football until I want to say I was about 8 or 9. That's when I really started to find the appeal of it and really started to like want to study and play the game. But just getting the opportunity from such like from a program like Ole Miss and the SEC, especially to be your first offer, I mean that's a dream come true for any kid.
You said it was like a surreal moment that you froze up during it. Like, I assume going to bed that night just felt amazing. Like, I've
Amazing.
made it.
Yeah, so little backstory on my school. We're a really under recruited school. We come out of sorry, one second. Okay.
Oh, no problem.
We we come out of the east of North Carolina. So there's not many highly recruited players that come from here. If I had to say out of the east of North Carolina, me and my teammate John Archer are probably the most recruited prospects that have been here
Yeah.
in a while and the most recruited in 71st history. So,
There's a couple of stories with high school recruits about coaches pulling players out of class. Have you had any like that so far?
oh, not every day. So for me, it's really easy to tell when the coaches are on the road because every day during either first or second period or in fourth period where I have weightlifting, so I don't actually have to get pulled out of class. A college coach will come down and visit, and he'll call my name, and I'll go down to the weight room and meet the coach. But it's a lot, it happens a lot to the point where my teacher's just like another coach, and I'm like, yes, ma'am.
I would assume your mailbox just gets flooded with
Oh,
letters and all types of stuff.
yes, sir. If I was home, I would show you. I have a wall full of I just put them up. The colleges that have sent me mail. It's just colleges. It's just college mail from the likes of Tennessee,
Yeah.
Duke, South Carolina, Yale, University of South Florida. Just you know,
So, I see one of the things you went to Coastal. Their
it's,
uniforms are like some of the best in college football. Have you taken any pictures in uniforms yet?
no, sir. So NCAA rules recently banned unofficial visits when it comes to uniforms.
Oh,
So yes, you aren't technically allowed to do it anymore. I'm not sure. They might use that to sway some of the 5 stars, 4 stars. But my first uniform pictures will be with USF June 6th to 8th. I'll be there for an official visit. Take the pictures. Just bond with them. I mean, have an amazing time down in Florida.
Seems like you and USF's running back coach have had like a great time in the couple of visits you guys have had. Um, Obviously, home visits feel like more of a comfortable environment. What has your parents' reactions been like through all of this?
They're just really proud. I come from a single mother household, so she's really proud to see her son, excel in a lot of different ways outside of football. Really, the academic piece too, with the offers from the Ivy Leagues, like you said, she's just beyond proud. And I mean, she really she supports me no matter where I go. She likes to tell me that I'm living my life for me and not for anyone else. So it's definitely nice.
So you've had a lot of interest from a couple of the in-state schools like East Carolina, Coastal. Um, Obviously, you said NC State, UNC. How big of a proximity to home factor has it been with your recruiting?
So really it is no proximity home factor. It's honestly the best fit for me because regardless of how it goes, I'll most likely only be coming back for holidays and free time. But regardless, my family's gonna make find a way to make up to the games, whether I'm in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, you know. So honestly, I know a lot of guys get swayed by the playing in your backyard aspect of things, but if the opportunity isn't there, then it's not gonna play that much of a difference.
Um, Another prestigious school, like you said, UConn. Um,
Yes, sir.
Historically a basketball heavy school. Um, they've had a history recently having amazing running backs come out, like Cam Edwards or Darrell Robinson. Um, how Trying to find a way to say this. Um, how big of a factor has it been? Like, obviously, if a team has other running backs, like Ole Miss added another running back recruit this class. They have, I believe, six on the roster. Um, Sitting behind some of those veterans and learning from them, is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I will be right back.
Oh, no
But when I
problem.
get back, I will give you an answer to that.
Gotcha.
There we go. There we go. Sorry, just got back home from school. The phone's about to die. So,
No, no problem.
but honestly, I believe anywhere that I do go, I believe I will excel. I've always had a better work ethic than most, so even if I do end up having to sit behind some of the veterans, which I'm not sure if you're aware of this particular running back, but he went to 71st, Anthony Quinn. He's not
Yeah.
Marshall. Um, you know, I was told that I would have to sit behind him for up until my junior year. So last year was supposed to be my first year playing running back, but as we know, he transferred and I got moved up my sophomore year.
Yeah.
So playing behind better players never was an issue. It just really pushed you to work harder, take in all of their experience and learn from their mistakes.
Yeah. So I see you're in your Adidas clothing. Um, did
So,
you do a camp today?
yeah, so this is the Under Armour Next Gen camp. I went to the one in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was it was a great camp. Great camp.
What would you say is your favorite camp that you've attended so far?
Honestly, this one's amazing because the next gen, um, just the exposure and like how it sets you apart from majority because it's an invite only. It's supposed to be the best kids in the area, so
Yes.
just having the shirt is like a spew of confidence. But my favorite camp has to be the Mercer Mega Camp. That's the camp where most, I believe, 9 or 10 of my, now I want to say 14 offers have come from.
Really.
Yes.
So, so obviously, 24/7 has you rated as a 3 star with an 86 rating. So close to that 4 star. Trying to push it up to that 4 star this season.
Um, Honestly, the ceiling's gonna be hard to break because, as well as, and I have been told by some teams, most teams that have recruiting analysts, and they'll tell you the real that which websites are good, which websites are bad. 24/7 is one of the better or one of the best websites for recruit rankings. So to push past that, I probably need to get quite some more powerful offers and really have a breakout year.
You're ranked as the 41st best running back in the nation, or in North Carolina, rather. 41st best player. Um, they have you tied with another running back in Jamal Rule from Charlotte. Um, has he attended any of the camps that you've went to?
I cannot say I'm familiar with the name. Do you know what school he plays at?
Charlotte Christian.
Charlotte Christian. Can't sound familiar.
I believe they bumped up his rating recently.
Yeah. I was looking, they did make some tweaks to the rating. One thing that really took my surprise is that 4 star Amir Brown was bumped down to a 3 star. That was insane. I mean, considering the offers that, I don't want to say kid because he's definitely something
Yeah.
else. I had the luxury of running into him at the Under Armour Next camp. So I'm gonna say young man. The offers that young man holds is insane. So
Yeah.
to see that he got bumped down, it's kind of crazy.
Obviously, you have two SEC offers in Ole Miss and South Carolina. SEC is easily known as like some of the best atmospheres in sports. Um, Going into some of those environments as a younger kid can be like shell shocking. You go to like a
Yes.
Texas A&M, they have the whole thing, 111,000 people. Um, what would you say is one of the biggest things to like? What do you do to calm yourself before a game?
So before I go out for a game, confidence is key. If you go out and you're unconfident, it doesn't matter how great of a player you are, you won't perform. Just having trust in my abilities and that I will make the right calls when the time comes is one of the biggest parts. Um, so I like to put on my headphones. I actually have some Sony WH 1000 XM5s. They're amazing audio. I put on my headphones. Um, you know, listen to some music and just get in the right headset and make sure that I still know that I am who I say I am.
Obviously, now you've played 2 years varsity at 71st. What would you say has been your favorite moment in your career?
So coming up, I came up in the COVID era. So for most of my middle school, I wasn't participating in middle school ball and I had to stop AAU ball temporarily. So when I came into high school, my skills were very unpolished. Um, so my running back coach, Coach Tompkins, he he would work with me and he would try to help me understand and see certain aspects of the game by taking me through bag work, film, and just trying to improve me as a player. And I know one game my sophomore year, we were playing Triton, and I had this run where I really just put it together, and I got the field after I think it was a 67-yard touchdown run, and he comes and he hugs me for the first time, and he tells me that I'm finally seeing it, and I believe that's when I really began to have an increased confidence and go out there and really be the person that most people know me to be.
Let's say 10 years down the line, how would you like people to describe you?
Realistically, a great man, um, great husband if I do find the one, hopefully, very hopefully. Just overall, outside of football, being a great person and just a genuine person who's out to help other people.
So, nowadays, in the era of NIL, players are more encouraged than ever to sail to enter the portal for more money and stuff, obviously. Um, have obviously through your entire high school process, it's been like the peak of NIL. You're able to see how everything plays out. Um, some players obviously try to get greedy with it.
Yes,
Famous case being Tennessee's quarterback asked for $8 million.
that was insane.
Yeah. Um, how big of a factor has NIL played into your recruiting?
Honestly, in my recruiting process, knowing that I'm going to spend the next 4 years there, the NIL really does not mean that much. I believe it's called the GI Bill. I'm qualified for it, so not only do I get scholarship from school, I also get paid from the military. Financially, I'm going to be well off. So, I mean, honestly, the biggest factor is if I feel comfortable with the coaching staff and where I'm at. So,
So, out of all the schools in the country, what would you say is a school, like your absolute dream school to go to?
honestly, now out of all of them, I this would of course mean that that would be a school I would commit to if I got the offer. Because, like I said, coaching staff is very important. But the dream school has to be Clemson. I mean, their minimal use of the transfer portal while also being one of the better schools in the country.
Yeah.
It's just it's in this era of transfer portal is probably one of the best things you can come across.
Right. You mentioned earlier you had some interest in like North Carolina. Obviously, they just hired Bill Belichick, seven-time Super Bowl. Um, Playing for a coach like that would be a dream for anybody.
Yeah.
Um, you were saying you've got a couple FCS offers as well. It's been a trend lately this year for former NFL players to go into the head coaching. Obviously, Sacramento State being a big proponent of that this year. Um, how big of a factor would that be for you? Like having a former NFL product somewhere in a coaching staff?
Honestly, a lot of colleges I've been to, surprisingly, they either have a former NFL player or former NFL coach. So it's a really common trend between colleges. I know I visited USF. Their DB's coach was a former like veteran. He was amazing in the NFL. He's a son actually. He's also doing amazing. He has about every offer you could possibly dream of. But I mean, I don't believe that having a former NFL coach or player makes too much of an impact.
So, another big thing that a lot of recruits lately is like exposure.
Yes.
Get the most out of it. Obviously, for some schools like South Carolina, Ole Miss, that's way easier than for, say, a school like Harvard or Yale, smaller market FCS schools. Um, how big of a factor has that been? Like, just being able to get your name out there.
Honestly, playing for the big lights, it definitely does serve a factor. I mean, I I cannot lie, but it's not one of my priorities. So, I mean, I believe if you can play, they'll find you. So, me being who I am, I know I can play. I know wherever I go, minimal by sophomore year, I'll be a rotating player. So, anywhere I go, I believe they'll find me.
Um, obviously, you went to the junior day at NC State.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So I was actually down there. I got invited by Coach Goebel. He made it very clear that he wanted me up there. So NC State, I've been rocking with them for a little bit. Um, me and Coach Goebel's relationship is actually really good, despite the the no offer is still amazing. He's a real honest, cool guy. Kind of just like feels like an uncle. He's real laid back. So I mean, it was a nice junior day. Definitely had fun. Definitely learned a lot. Saw a lot.
So, one of the South Carolina visits you went on was the South Carolina Ole Miss game. I could imagine having offers from both that school. You spent a lot of time analyzing that game.
Yes.
um,
Um.
yeah.
So I mean, with the South Carolina Ole Miss game, one of the things that really stood out to me was a personal foul by edge rusher. His name slipped my mind, but number 6. I think it's. I don't want to say the wrong name, but he was a true freshman, standout stud, um, and he got a sack on, I believe, Jackson Dart, and it's all over the internet. He started spraying the ground, and it was a person like I believe it was third. He sacked him on like 3rd and 15, so that would have made it like 3rd and 19. And it was insane to see him give up a first down over something so easily controllable. That was probably
I
one of my
believe
biggest
we just
worries.
found the clip you are referring to.
Yes, that was, and it was me and my brother. We turned to each other. We just laughed because it was at the moment it was really funny because of course we weren't in the game, so it was hilarious. But that was probably really frustrating for the defensive coordinator.
Yeah. We found the clip that you were referring to.
There we go.
Down and 6, the
Yep, third
24.
and 6.
Dart pump faked, in trouble, rolls right and sacked. The Gamecocks got him down this time.
Oh, God.
Oh, there's a flag on the play.
I mean, the only thing he did, that
He
is
clapped.
ridiculous. Yeah, he clapped and pointed at him.
He did not
Come on,
indeed
official.
just clap and point
Minus
at him.
9, but hold on. That was Dylan Stewart. And
My gosh.
Dylan
Obviously.
Stewart. I knew it.
makes another mistake.
On the defense, number 6. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. The unsportsmanlike conduct was for taunting.
You can see just how disappointed the coach
You were
is.
kidding me.
I don't know if he drew
That
the
is number
pistols
6
on
first.
him.
Let me tell you,
Unsportsmanlike
they did,
conduct foul of the game.
he did. But here's the point. They let him go in the end zone now and just do all this annex in the end zone after they score, but they can't.
Another one that was kind of infamous is whenever I believe it was one of Ole Miss's wide receivers, he did the dog celebration.
Oh, yeah. So it's just a lot of emotions. Younger
Yeah.
kids. A lot of crazy things happen.
Yeah. That specifically, celebrations like that obviously have been big lately because of people like John Morant. He
Yes.
got into a lot of trouble recently over celebrations like that. Um, have you guys had any talks with your coach about excessive celebrations that you can think of?
So I believe it was playoffs. We were playing J.H. Rose, and we kind of have a history. So I believe it's 2-2. We beat them twice. They beat us twice. So this is to break the tie, and I believe I score. I really want to say the second or third touchdown. I get in the end zone and I do a little, you know, little money thrown to the camera, and they called it for a flag. That was my first unsportsmanlike flag, I believe, that entire season.
Yeah.
Got back to the sideline, a lot of head shaking. Of course, my running back coach, he was lighthearted about it. He just said, you can't. He laughed it off, said you can't do that. But I mean, yeah, we're told we can't beat ourselves, so sportsmanlike conduct is a no go, especially in a close game.
Obviously, with high school too, PATs are a big thing. Kickers aren't as accurate. That extra 15 yards
Really,
could be the difference between winning and losing a game.
yeah,
Famous instance was in that game. He got the 15 yard sportsmanlike. He pushed the PAT back, and he slightly hooked it to the left, missed it. Those 15 yards, he would have made it.
yeah.
I would assume coach wasn't very pleased. There's a couple of videos you can see coach is like, yeah, let me pull you off to the side here for them. Let's chat for a second.
Yeah.
Obviously, a couple instances with college, famous one, just doing your job, basically.
Yes.
There was the video a couple of years ago of Notre Dame's quarterback threw an interception or something. His head coach called down to the sidelines.
Yeah.
They panned the camera to him.
Just
Things
screaming,
didn't
do
go
your
well.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, another big thing from last year. Whenever you're in a running game that's that dominant, I would assume offensive line probably was a little bit dead after that season.
Most of our offensive linemen, I actually say the opposite. We got them off the field pretty quick. That's all I'm gonna say. Our drives, we never had drives that were too long. Usually between me, number 9, and number 11, we would usually punch the ball in about 3 or 4 runs. So
you can't do that to teams. Just ground and pound, especially when you're averaging 10 yards a carry.
yeah, so it's just really demoralizing to see the chains move every time someone touches the ball. Makes you feel like you can't stop it. That's the favorite part.
Especially, obviously, I'm sure you're well aware, a school like Douglas hasn't had a lot of success with football. You guys beat them 49-0 in the last regular season game.
So that game, that's always a statistic game. I mean, we know we're gonna win. We go in there, do your job, and it's gonna be a blowout. So most of the time, that's to get the starter stats up, and then to get the backups some playing time. That way, still be ready for next year.
Yeah. Obviously, another thing that's probably to look at the other end of it. Douglas's basketball had a famous instance. They went 4 years without winning a game. You have seniors who graduated without winning a game. That has to be demoralizing. Meanwhile, you look at the other end of the spectrum, a school like 71st, you guys only lose 1 or 2 games a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lucky situation to be in. I believe that this year we're going to have to fight for it a lot more, but I think we can still have that same dominance if everyone comes together, really puts in the work.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys are going to have a new quarterback this year. Nance graduates, goes to play college. Um, those first couple of games are probably going to be a little bit of tune-up games to get him adjusted to that. I would assume probably rely on the run game a little bit more to get him adjusted. How would you say having a new quarterback is going to affect you guys this year?
I mean, and this is for anyone watching. I'm not sure who will be, but we do have a little bit of a quarterback battle. So I wouldn't say it's a clear cut quarterback as of right now. And to be honest, I could not tell you who the quarterback's going to be because I haven't seen them all play. One of them is doing baseball, and the other two did basketball. So I believe start of summer workouts really get to see and really get to implement who's going to be the new quarterback and who we're going to have to get the cadence from. So,
Put you in there in a little bit of a wildcat?
yeah, I mean, that's probably not going to be a surprise to most people. Most teams that we play that I'm going to be in a wildcat. But, I mean, yeah, they're definitely in talks of running wildcat.
um, a school like Ole Miss, as you were saying, one of the things they're kind of known for is getting running backs more involved with receiving game.
Yes.
Your first couple years at 71st, you've been primarily running. Are you? How would you say you're able to get more involved in a receiving game possibly this year?
So a lot of old school coaching. I have been trying to get involved in the receiving game, but honestly, I feel like my receiving is not it's not below average. I believe I'm average, if not above average, in receiving. So I believe that hopefully this summer I can make a campaign for me to get more involved, maybe in some slot, maybe releasing out the backfield more often. But with a younger O line, I could also understand having to stay back and protect the quarterback.
Um, 71st graduated a bunch of its stars this year, obviously. Some would say this might be a slight rebuilding year. Um, Obviously, you as a senior, this is your last year. Um, how do you go into this year, kind of with a little bit of that thought, like, okay, maybe they're trying to rebuild a little bit, and maybe
Um,
standards are a little bit lower for success this year?
well, for me, as a like I like to put it, in like a lot of the guys will tell you, it's a proven senior, a veteran, one of the guys that's been through it, been through the two championship losses, the one regional loss. My expectations are not low at all for that team. I push those guys to be excellent, be great, whether it's just talking during warm-ups or, skipping a rep. It's just have to pound it into them that we're not the same team from last year and we can't do the same thing as we did last year because we're not as good as we were last. We lost a lot of guys that were key contributors, and now it's time for a lot of these guys that really haven't played any meaningful reps to step up, and you just can't afford to be wasting time.
Um, Obviously, you guys go from kind of your three-headed monster in the running back game with Nance, Frederick, and yourself. Um, have a new running back duo with you and 1 second.
It should be Champon.
Yeah,
Yes.
with you and him. Uh, how would you say you and his relationship is? Obviously, going into this season, you and him are kind of yin and yang.
Yeah, I mean we have a good relationship. I believe that I have a good relationship with most of the guys on the team. I feel like I'm never overbearingly serious, but when the time comes, the time comes. A lot of guys, they feel like they can joke, they feel like they can feel comfortable around me. While also learning that sometimes, you need to show respect. And I believe a lot of the guys, for that reason, they're perfectly fine with, building a relationship and following the leadership that I provide for the team.
Yeah. obviously, like you were saying, Pone kind of underlooked last season in this offense with 3,000-yard rushers. Still put up 770 yards and 10 touchdowns, which having 4 players get double-digit touchdowns in the season is ridiculous, let alone having 4 averaging that many yards.
Yes.
All 3 of you averaged above 10 yards a carry, which is diabolical.
Yes.
Receiving game didn't do too bad either last year. In retrospect, you still had a double-digit receiver in Whitted, 700 yards, 10 touchdowns. How would you guys say like an RPO game? How would you guys say your guys' RPO game was last year?
RPO was good. Really having a quarterback like DeAndre, Coach Mack put a lot of trust into him, so he was at liberty to run RPO for majority of our plays that you probably could not tell that it was RPO because of how he plays it. But majority of our plays were RPO with him in shotgun. If he saw something that didn't look right, if the edge was squeezing too hard, he could pull it, he could run it himself, or he could also throw it to one of our guys on the edges. So we really did have a strong RPO game that a lot of people did not see because of how we ran it. But yeah, I think, this year, um, it's honestly too early to say what our offense will look like because there's still a lot of things to figure out. But one thing I do know is that we're going to come out, we're going to be dominant because I'm fully confident that those group of guys can put it together in some sort of way.
Obviously, I don't know if you saw it today. The NCHSA, they altered the format for playoff seeding based off of RPI ranks for on max preps. So they changed it to, let me pull up the actual numbers, to a 40-40-20 split. So it's 40% of your overall record, or your strength of record, rather.
Mhm.
And then 40% of your opponent's strength of record, and then 20% of your opponent's strength of record.
Okay.
For you guys, obviously, you play in a conference like this where it's you guys, Cape Fear, and then it doesn't drop off, but there's a little bit of a decrease in overall record. How would you say is the biggest challenge with this new system?
Honestly, hearing about the new system, it is going to be a little harder to get a higher preseason rank, even if that's what we deserve, because our classification actually did change. So we are 6A, so we don't play Cape Fear. We don't play, not to discredit any teams and, overlook them, but we do play a way easier conference now. So our conference play could land us a lower seed with that new ranking system.
Obviously, a school like 71st could easily go compete in 4A.
Yes.
The new system, I guess, would be 8A. But school size keeps you guys down that low. Have they tried to get you guys put up to those levels?
No. So last year we actually did play West Charlotte, the team that beat us in the States. They were a 4A team. They were an 8A team. So this year they are 8A. They were supposed to be 8, well, technically 4A last year, but due to the hurricane and the new transfers that came in, they were still technically 3A despite having a 4A population. So while it is true that we could compete in a 4A, it would technically be unfair to us to try to put us in there due to the skill of our players and the limited population.
Um, I just got the numbers pulled up. So it's 40% weight on a team's winning percentage, 40% on their opponent's winning percentage, and then 20% on their opponent's opponent winning percentage.
Hmm.
They approved it with a unanimous vote. Uh, the strength of schedule, margin of victory, and the classification, they're not going to factor it into it at all,
Okay.
which is kind of surprising. Obviously, some think North Carolina doesn't need 8 classifications. Um, they could have stuck with the 4 and done fine.
Mhm. Honestly, I believe it was probably necessary because I believe, especially case in point with last year, some teams were playing teams that they had no business playing. The same way West Charlotte was in our division. A lot of teams that moved up, like Cape Fear and some of the bigger schools, like Terry Sanford, we were playing them in 3A when they really were a bigger school and a more funded school than 71st.
Yeah. What would you say is your guys' like biggest thing? Obviously, you guys have done so well past 2020, past COVID, that with all of this lower funding, you guys have a lower school population, but you're still able to kind of bring in all of these talented kids like Nance, like yourself, like Frederick.
Yeah.
Um,
So with 71st being a powerhouse, we attract a lot of talented athletes that want to come here and put their, skills on display because we are one of the better and more recruited schools, especially now with the new attention that me, John Archer, and others bring to the table. So just kids wanting to put their name out there, compete at one of the best schools in Fayetteville, arguably one of the best in North Carolina. Um, yeah,
you guys finished last season ranked 11th in the state as a 3A.
yes.
What would you say your message would be to, let's say, a freshman or a sophomore that's getting into 71st and starting to play?
Um, if you come here, it's a standard. I mean, you can't, this isn't a school of inconsistency. This isn't a school of, you know, one foot in, one foot out. If you come here, you have to be dedicated to the game. Um, because the average kid, I doubt he is so physically gifted that you can overlook it. So I say come in, put your head down, work, and sooner or later you'll be in your starting spot.
So, our last thing is you have a strict time limit today
Uh,
with all your visits. Um, you had said that you've narrowed down your college list.
yeah.
Obviously, down from 15 schools. You said you've cut it down to 5. Um, before we get into that, have any of the Ivy Leagues made top 5?
Yeah, so actually it probably won't be hard to guess who, but one of the Ivy Leagues did make the top 5 cut. Um it's honestly a school that I've had great relationships with. Yale University is amazing, coaching staff's amazing. It's just a real nice environment.
Um, as you said, also you want to go to law school, Yale being one of the most prestigious of those. Um, another thing, um, what made you put Yale above Harvard for that?
Honestly, it's gonna well, it might not sound odd, but I just like Yale better. Atmosphere, coaching, the facilities are pretty good. Like it's just, and they're more persistent on getting me down there and getting me to play. So I mean, I'm sure both are amazing schools. I mean, people would give up an arm and a leg to go to Harvard or Yale. So to have the option to pick between the two is, I'm really blessed to have that opportunity.
That's like one of the magic things with athletics. Um, Yale, Harvard, Dartmouth, those being like some of the hardest schools in the world to get into. Athletics gives you a chance to go to those schools for free
Yeah.
and receive some of the best education in the world. Given all of your X activity, I would assume South Florida has made that top 5.
Yes, sir. So South Florida is another school that's extremely persistent on getting me down there. Honestly, there are other schools in the talks of official visits and unofficial visits and spring visits. None of that has been confirmed though, so those schools will stay, private. But it's I mean, between those two and a handful of others, just the communication has been amazing. It's a really good atmosphere, nice place to be. Tampa, Florida, beautiful. Weather's nice. Yeah.
Um, what is the process like? So let's say a new school reaches out to you and they want you to go on an official visit. What's the process like for that?
So usually when a new school reaches out, they'll come by the school first, just to gauge you in person, and they'll talk to you, have a conversation, and once the conversation's over, they'll probably get a gist of whether you're the type of guy that they want to recruit or the type of guy that they, want to keep on the side to come back to. If you are the guy that they want to recruit, they'll either talk you to getting down to the campus to see it, meet the rest of the coaches, or if they've already got their mind made up, they'll go ahead and, schedule an official visit with you.
Obviously, NCAA rules are pretty strict nowadays with official visits. Obviously, you said for unofficial ones, you can't do jerseys anymore, which I found kind of weird.
Yeah.
I believe there was one university who got in trouble for they left like a gift basket in a kid's hotel room.
Yes.
They caught in trouble for that. So, you said Yale and South Florida are in the top 5.
They are.
Who else has made the cut?
Honestly, so it would be between Yale, South Florida, South Carolina. I almost said Harvard because we were talking about it, but not Harvard. Ole Miss, and most likely Memphis. And of course, as time goes on, some coaches leave schools, go to different schools. They'll, new schools will reach out, new connections will be made. So the top 5 definitely isn't permanent, but as of right now, that's where it is before the spring and summer recruiting.
All right, let's get a uniform ranking for all 5.
Uniform ranking. Number 1 has to go to Ole Miss.
I would say Memphis.
I don't like Memphis. I don't like their uniforms, but
Really?
no.
Have you seen their
not
basketball court?
I'm not a big basketball watcher.
I'll have to show. Their basketball court is sick.
Yes, but in order, it'd probably be Ole Miss with their blues. I like USF's all black, not the black with the yellow or lime green accent, but the black with just the white. Then South Carolina, Yale, and then Memphis. Sadly, and this is all football.
You don't like Memphis's uniforms.
Yes. All right. Well, it is 6:58. I'm gonna go ahead and hit up this Zoom call. Oh, that is a beautiful court.
And you don't like those uniforms?
Maybe for basketball, I just can't give it to football.
We're gonna have to have a chat about that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Best of luck with your Zoom calls. Thank you for sharing your story with us and giving me your time.
You know,
Anything else you'd like to tell people?
just look out for the name. I'm gonna definitely gonna prove something this season.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jason.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Hope you have a great day.
You too.